We're going to take a look at a beautiful Christmas tune, I'll Be Home for Christmas. Interesting little backstory to this. It was written by Kim Gannon and Walter Kent are the main songwriters, but Buck Ham, who was another songwriter from the 40s, 50s, got credit for part of the lyrics because he had another song with this title that he let them look at, and they kind of ran off with the title and came up with their own song. But Buck got a little songwriting credit because of it. Now we're going to take a kind of a do-it-yourself approach to this, and I'm going to talk first about just understanding the chord progression and the melody. Now I guess I'm going to give you more of the backstory, because there was I've listened to a lot of versions of this. Not too many people do what would be considered the verse. That little part that I played, the second thing I played. The first thing I played was even an introduction that I found in the original music, that as I was trying to come up with my own idea of the chords and the progression that I wanted to use, there were a lot of different things from Elvis's version that I did a lesson on actually already, which was fairly basic, kind of standard, I don't want to call it campfire, but it was fairly straightforward chords mostly. To the Carpenters, whose version was much more complicated and more complex harmony, I guess, is where I'm going with this. And so I thought, I really want to find what the songwriters intended. So I started searching for sheet music to this, and all of a sudden a link came up to the Library of Congress, where I could download what they submitted back in 1943. I'm messing up my years. Anyway, as for them to get a copyright registered with it. And it was in a different key. It was in the key of C. And of course, Bing Crosby did his in C, I believe. Anyway, wandering off. And the looking at the original, I thought, wow, well, there's an opening part that just has some chords. Oh, just some little triads played over a pedal point and an E in the bass, although again, it was in an original key. I thought, oh, well, that's easy enough to play on the guitar. Let's throw that in. And then, the chords that they chose to use for the progression, I ended up having to change a lot of them to kind of the way I heard it. But it was still really cool to track down the original submission to the Library of Congress. But what we're going to do in this lesson, I think that's enough of that story, is I'm going to want to just, the first thing I want you to look at is the lead sheet, which is just only the melody and the chords. And then we'll talk about putting those together. I'm not going to have a note-for-note tab transition, or what is the word I'm looking for here, a tab arrangement of it. But I will walk you through the chords and how to put the chords and the melody, how I would put the chords and the melody together. But there's a lot of space for filler in there, and that's just going to be sort of up to you. It's going to be, you're going to hold an A chord down here. And you just need to fill in some space because the melody is frequently very drawn out. So anyway, so the first thing we'll talk about is just the melody and the chords. So I encourage you to take a look at, print up the lead sheet first, if you kind of want to take the do-it-yourself approach, and we'll talk about assembling your own piece from that. Then later segments, I will break down what my arrangement of it and show you how I chose to play some of those chords. There are a lot of unusual chords in here. So anyway, coming up, maybe this might take a while, but we'll see how it goes. A lesson on I'll Be Home for Christmas.